Jen Logie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's with great pleasure I rise to take a call on this, the Parental Leave and Employment Protection 6 months paid leave and work contact hours amendment bill put forward by Labour member Sue Moroney. I'm not sure I've spoken more often on any other topic in this House in my 4 years here. I think this is the third piece of legislation, the second member's bill from Sue Moroney that I have had the great pleasure of supporting, because the Green Party really, we support the public view that extending paid parental leave is to the benefit of us as a country. And so I do, like, for me, one of the main reasons that I support this bill is, and there are so many, as has been outlined by the previous National Party member in her speech, but one of them is that I think it helps us update our employment settings and our workplace legislation. It is 2016, and still so much of our employment legislation treats our society and our people in the workplace as if we're still in the 1950s, as if there is one breadwinner who's there earning and providing for their family, who's nicely nurtured in a nice, warm, dry house. And that is just not the reality of this world. Families, both parents are so often having to work, and so many parents both want to work, but they also have children. And we actually need our employment settings to recognise that. And then it was really interesting for me that we heard last term the bill to extend paid parental leave to 6 months. There were 3,795 submissions, 99.6% in support of it. This time round, with a very, very similar bill, there were 6,755 submissions, most of which were in support of this bill. And so the public support, having heard all of the government's arguments about affordability, about the other measures that they're putting in place, the public support for 6 months has increased. People have heard the arguments, they've made their decision about priorities, and I think this government should listen. The people of New Zealand are saying that it's time for us to update our employment legislation. It's time for us to support our families, and particularly in those first 6 months. And I don't think you can argue with that. The submitters, has already been stated by my colleague Denise Roach, you know, they were from a very wide range of groups, from Family First to the Council of Trade Unions to a lot of employers and employers' representatives. We've heard from the government side that, well, you know, they have to consider business and what business needs, because really business is what provides the money that drives this society. Nothing to do with the people doing the work or the families supporting that work. But even then, they got it wrong, because businesses were telling us that 6 months is easier to manage for them than 18 weeks. Because 18 weeks, 6 months is a length of time that enables them to get somebody else in to fill the position. And that below that level, often they're juggling and just infilling, and it puts pressure on the remaining workers to be covering those jobs. And it's not good for their workplaces or their staff. So this bill is good for babies. There's no question about that. All of the evidence tells us that. And it's good for women's employment and keeping them in jobs and ensuring their ability to progress and close the gender pay gap. And it's also good for employers in managing their workplaces and supporting all of the workers in this workplace. To be opposing this on the grounds that it's unaffordable, when booming economies like the Czech Republic and Estonia seem to be able to afford up to 3 years paid parental leave, and we've only been able to increase paid parental leave from 12 weeks in 2002 to 18 weeks now, despite very, very significant increases in our GDP, just does not ring true. If our economy is going to grow, we need to share it and support our families.
David.